Hi, it's Cayman Reynolds with Grow 365, and we have so much growing, some things dying. We're using some organic sprays, some organic fertilizer, and we're doing several things that might be able to help you in the garden, and we just want to show you what's going on here in early June. But first, we need to water everything. Josh, hit it! So we're in the middle of June. A lot of people say that you can't grow lettuce. We're going to start here, and we're going to shortly go through this crop and all the other ones that we have. Josh has found some issues, and these are some special varieties that are supposed to help with summer conditions. So Josh, tell us about the varieties and what's the issue that we're having.
Yeah, so what I'm growing here are two heat-tolerant varieties. This is Sparks Romaine, and that's Capitan. I believe it's a butterhead. They're doing pretty great. I'm really impressed with them. They're holding up in the heat, but I am noticing lettuce wilting in the ground, and when I pulled it up, I'm seeing that the roots are nibbled away. In one case, it was the whole plant stem was just nibbled away. And I got in there, got on my hands and knees, dug in there, and unfortunately, it was Japanese beetle grubs. That seems to be what's eating the lettuce, which is wild. I've never had that happen in all my years of growing lettuce. So we're looking into how to treat it, basically. We've never treated this before. Best option I can see is going to be some parasitic nematodes, I believe is what they're called, that will actually go attack the grub and kill them.
And just like you, I've never had this issue. I've grown lettuce for 20 years off and on, and sometimes quite a bit. I've never seen that problem, but I have had some lettuce that have disappeared before, and maybe that's what it was. But you've found multiple ones in this area, and this is a new bed, so something to watch out for. We'll let you know about those nematodes when we try them. Now let's talk peppers. These are some gorgeous and healthy looking plants, but there's a good problem that we have right now, and it's all these blossoms. There's 20 to 30 buds and some blossoms on each of these, and some of these plants have peppers that are already developing, some as big as a silver dollar. And so what do we want to do here? We got to be careful. We don't want 20 peppers on a plant this size, in my opinion. And opinions are like noses, and so you have to decide what you want to do. But my personal opinion is to let the plants get at least this tall before you let them set one pepper, and don't let them set 10 or 12. There's still a lot of season left. We're just the second week of June. We don't want to pull away from the growth and development of the plant. We want the best fruits, and in my opinion, a little bit of patience here. Plucking all of these off is going to give us more fruit long term and a higher quality fruit. So definitely watch out for that. What varieties are we using here, Josh?
Yeah, so we got California Wonder, and this one, my mind just went blank actually. It is called Red Beauty. This one is something that I have never grown before. It's supposed to be a nice big red bell pepper. I've grown California Wonders before, always had great luck with them, but Red Beauty is going to be new to me. Also, y'all got to check out my shirt.
Yeah.
If you can't tell I like peppers, here we go.
You didn't have a choice in liking peppers, Josh. You were born to like peppers.
Exactly.
So with these varieties, these plants look healthy. We fertilized them 1 tablespoon, Josh did, when they were just put into the ground.
Also, who picked the blossoms off?
Well, I mean, I haven't been picking them off.
You keep saying we. I'm like, well, we's over here.
I've picked like 4 or 5 of them off, Josh. So there is a little bit of we, mostly ye. Anyhow, we've just added, we as in Josh, has added 2 tablespoons of the Dr. Earth's tomato and vegetable fertilizer. I've used that in the past. It's got kelp, it's got bacteria and fungi that are good for the plants. It is organic and has a lot of natural healthy things. I love the fertilizer. It's not as cheap as maybe some things, but it's really healthy for you and for the garden, and it's super easy and available to everyone. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check that out. But there's a lot of ways to be successful with that. But fertilizer, especially on these crops that produce long-term throughout the season, it's worth every penny, because these tomatoes and peppers are worth a lot, and invest a little bit into them. You'll be happy you did.
Well, these crawly things, in case you're wondering what these vines are, these are cantaloupe, specifically Minnesota midgets. In that sense, they have a lot in common with Cayman, don't they? They're not going to get very big, but they've got a lot of personality to them. Actually, we've never grown these before. I've never grown these before, but we chose this variety because these vines don't get very big. Something along the lines of, I think, 4 to 5 feet in every direction.
Sounds big to me.
Yeah, you would think so. So these are perfect for a smaller garden. And we're really looking forward to trialing these things. And like Cayman mentioned earlier, we've been hitting these with some of the similar fertilizer as some of our other plants because these are fast growing, they are fruiting crops, and they do need that extra nutrition.
So we're going to move over to our cucumbers, but just like our tomatoes and peppers, we're putting a granular fertilizer from Dr. Earth. I am putting gypsum down. I say I am. Josh is putting gypsum down on most of these crops. And gypsum is calcium sulfate, and it's a fantastic amendment. One, because it's very affordable, but calcium is used per pound more than anything else in the garden, and it's needed. Sulfur is a great catalyst for growth and electrolyte production. So we're using those heavily throughout. And now these cucumbers right here, just handsome plants. Josh, tell us what you got growing over in these trellises.
Yeah, speaking of growth, these cucumbers are going crazy. So every couple of days I'm having to come out here and put these up, but that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. So I have two varieties here. I have Unagi and I have Suyo Long, and they're both Asian type cucumbers, but this one is a hybrid that a lot of the Asian cucumbers tend to be bumpy and rough, but this hybrid is nice and smooth like an English cucumber. It's something I've grown before. Honestly, one of the best for fresh eating. They're not for pickling, but they're great for fresh eating. So I'm excited. I mean, we got fruits on here. I think, Cayman, do they have any on that side as well? I think
there's
this one's
couple
loaded down.
Yeah, there's a few over here. I think that side's got more. I'm seeing bumblebees and honeybees get into the blossoms.
Pollinators are going crazy.
They really need a lot of pollination. And so if you're interested in beekeeping, we also have our Beekeeping 101 series. Cantaloupes, anything in the squash, melon family, really need pollination from a bumblebee, another type of a local bee, or a honeybee, or all of the above. Some of these plants, like watermelons, only bloom for part of a day. And so there's just a few hours that they have a chance of getting pollinated. So if you don't have enough bees or pollinators interested, sometimes they will terminate it if they don't get sufficient pollination. So cucumbers are awesome. My son Jimmy will eat his weight in these cucumbers. And real quick, let's look at how it's growing up these trellises. Cucumbers are just designed to run up something, and they are just, Josh is helping guide them up, but once
those tendrils grab a hold.
Yeah, once those tendrils grab a hold, they just take themselves.
I kind of help it along right there, but yeah, pretty much like that.
It's such a fun crop. Now let's talk a little bit about sprays real quick before we move on, because when you're an organic gardener, that doesn't mean you don't have pests, especially if you have a new area, new soil, and depending on your location, you have more issues than others. I have a very humid and wet environment, which means I'm going to be more susceptible to fungal diseases and stuff like that. With cucumbers, I've never really had a whole lot of issue with that. A lot of it, I believe, is because we use products like Dr. Earth, and we also use fish and kelp fertilizers. There's kelp inside of the Dr. Earth product, and that has like 56 trace minerals. That really helps with immune system function. So all of these things are getting kelp at some point, and you can buy kelp separately, but we are spraying them with pyrethrin. We're spraying them with spinosad, which all these are natural products, either that one kill bugs, or they prevent them, they disrupt their digestive system. That's the spinosad, or Splivin is the name of the product, and we'll show that in the videos. And then Josh has also been treating the plants that can have powdery mildew, or like tomatoes that can have wilt problems. He is spraying those with copper or neem oil to keep that fungal and any of those issues down. So when you're organic gardening, I think it's important to spray a little bit more often, especially if you want a low amount of pests. Josh has been really diligent about that, and so far things are looking good. So let's move on to okra.
Out of all the things in the garden, I feel like these are sort of my babies. I don't know why. I kind of got that feeling. They're doing great.
Why? Because they're just easy to grow?
Yeah, and they grow so fast too. I just think, I don't know. I love okra. I love okra. I have a shirt. I'm going to get a shirt that says I love okra.
So we've established the fact that Josh likes okra, but it is really healthy for you. There's so many different health benefits to growing your own crops. And okra is a low maintenance one, especially if you're in the South, but we do see a few bug bites on these things. What type of issues have you seen in the past with okra, or is it a pretty easy crop?
Yeah, it's pretty darn easy. I mean, it grows easy. It doesn't need a whole lot of TLC. The biggest pest problem that I've had with okra is Japanese beetles. they will come and they will just try to strip those leaves. And it's not that they'll kill the whole plant, but it just gets really unsightly.
Yeah, and it just stresses them out for sure and robs us of an extra okra or
Exactly,
two.
because I want those dang okra.
I know, I know you do. Well, you're gonna have to be patient. All right, let's move on to some zucchini's over here, also known as zucchinis. And this is one of Josh's little children as well.
Yep.
And you can see it right down in there. Laurel, my wife, is a fantastic cook, and Josh is a really good cook as well. But there's so many of these, oh, this is a fruit, not a vegetable, that you can dice up. Say what?
I said you got to get it right.
Got to get it right, yeah. You know, the technicality police will show up. And you can dice those up, a little bit of butter, a little bit of garlic, and a little bit of salt. And you can throw them on the grill too. Zucchini are fantastic on the grill. So what is this variety? And these are actually a crop that, in my opinion, we have more trouble keeping alive than other things.
Yeah, they're tough. This is the Green Machine variety from Johnny's. It's growing really, really well for now. Cross our fingers. Mm-hmm. But yeah, summer squash can just be so difficult in the South because we have vine borers, we have squash bugs. Everything seems, I want to eat it, but everything else wants to eat it too.
It does. And sometimes powdery mildew and stuff. I've never really had as much issue with that, but definitely the vine borers are a big problem. And when it comes to these harder pests, you know, whether it's Colorado potato beetles, vine borers, the things that really make gardening harder, starting early is really important. The plant's strength and vigor is critical. Trying to do things to lower their likelihood of wanting to eat the plant, because, you know, stuff like spinosad or splivin, the name of the product, you can use that, and as they eat the plant, that really disrupts their gut. And then there's a couple other things, some clays that you can spray on there. The problem is if you get some powerful rains, it can really knock a lot of this stuff off. Obviously, there's some unorganic options that last a lot longer, but we don't like poisons on our food. And so we want to use some natural products, but you usually have to reapply those more often. So,
yep. And by the way, do what we say, not what we do. These are definitely not early planted, because my dad has some in his garden and we've been getting loads. So you can be started a lot earlier, but sometimes you just got to do it when you get the chance.
You know, I blame Josh for that. That wasn't a we thing, that was a him thing.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So let's talk tomatoes. We've been fertilizing these as well, really taking care of them. They need to be pruned back and put in cages. We're going to be doing that in another video. But Josh, what are we growing? What types and what's going on?
Sure. This is Homestead. This is a determinate variety. We also have Aroma, and then we have Super Fantastic, which is an indeterminate. So they are ripen at different times. Determinates ripen all at the same time. They're better for canning or doing any kind of preservation product, because you know that within a week or two, you're going to have your whole crop taken care of, and you can just get into it, get it done, and you're good for the rest of the year.
It's amazing how much these plants have grown. We're going to see if we can't find a photo or something to splice in here to show you just how far these plants have come in a very short period. Check out these tomatoes right over here on this determinate variety. The main thing I found that's helped me get great tomato yields is you got to keep the energy going forward. They do have problems with disease and some pests, but being consistent in the organic garden of using maybe a little bit of copper, but I really like neem, because using too much copper, I think, is just not a good idea. Both of those are antifungal, anti-disease, and then also using a product that is taking care of aphids. Aphids a lot of times aren't considered a big deal, but they suck the life out of your plant and inject viruses and problems. So just stay on top of your tomatoes.
Came in every once in a while. I like to get down like this just to give you a taste of what it would be like to be me.
And to think that I pay him to give me these insults. Hey, did you know that these potatoes are dying back? They were awesome looking plants, and we have a complete playlist on how you can put them in the ground, prep them, fertilize them, spray them, keep them nice and healthy. But at some point, this is about 95 days from when we planted them, they're going to die back. And this is Yukon Gold. Check out the complete playlist down in the top comment, and we're fixing to harvest them. So if you're wanting to see how that turned out, stick around. Let's move over to the onions. Now we're over here in the onions, and Josh started some of these from seeds, and some of these we got as transplants. We were just talking today about which one is better because they look pretty neck and neck. No joke.
Pun intended.
Yeah, pun intended, exactly. And some of them are starting to bulb over in here. But Josh, what are these varieties? Are they the same thing? What are they?
I think they're somewhat similar. So the ones that we got from transplants are Texas Super Sweets, and then the ones I started from seed are Candy. Texas Super Sweets, I believe, are a short day, but the Candies are an intermediate, if I'm not mistaken.
And why does that matter?
Well, onions are day leg sensitive. They require a certain amount of days to bulb up, and if they get too many or too little, depending on the variety, they won't form bulbs properly. They'll just kind of sit there and just be green, which is fine. You can eat the tops, but you want that big old juicy onion, you know?
So that's kind of important to know. So make sure whatever zone you're in, you're double checking and you're getting close to the best variety for you. Otherwise, you might have green onions instead. But we've given these onions fertilizer. You can see the drip tape. Onions require frequent water. They don't need to get super dry, and they definitely are a heavy feeder and like a little bit of extra nitrogen. So we used a natural 862 on these and some gypsum, and they're just starting to bulb up right now. So looking forward to having some soup and some onions.
All the onions.
Now let's go look at our watermelons and sweet potatoes in our other garden. We'll see you over there. Especially you, Josh. Get to walking.
Wait, what? Bro, you think you know a guy? Look at this guy.
For efficiency's sake, we'll let you guys ride.
All right. Let's go, Daniel. Oh, you have the camera. Yeah! We're here at our second garden location. It is on the same property. It's just a little bit away from where we were. And this mess of green vines, these aren't weeds. They're actually something important. Cayman, what are we looking at here?
Sweet potatoes, the best thing, in my opinion, that you could grow for storage, survival, and just flavor. This is an orange sweet potato called Orleans, and it's an updated version of Beauregard, which I think is the best flavor. This is different in the fact that it's more consistent in the tuber size. With Beauregard, you might get one that's this large and then some smaller ones. This variety is supposed to give you more uniform, ideal-sized baking sweet potatoes. There's so many different varieties, and I just want to say I really recommend one of our state companies, Steel Plant Company. They produce these sweet potatoes in Gleason. It's called Tatertown. They have probably 8 to 10 varieties. I've always stuck really to Beauregard, Georgia Jets, or Orleans, and I'm really excited to get this crop because they've performed well for me. They do great in our state, and it's a great family business. Steel Plant Company, I'll put that down below. We'll be showing you more about growing sweet potatoes. Really, it's mammals you got to watch out for because everything.
Not just us.
Yeah, not just us. Deer, you love to eat the leaves.
Everything wants to eat them.
And I've had some pigs get out in the past and then get up and just eat the whole bed. So no pigs around here anymore.
So check out this little sweet potato plant here. This is not a runt. There's a reason it's actually this small. When I went ahead and planted all the slips in this bed, some of them didn't make it, and that's just to be expected. Not everything lives. You know, plants are living things. Some of them make it, some of them don't. Fortunately, with sweet potatoes, there's a magic trick you can do. So sweet potatoes are amazing in that they root along the vine if they touch soil or if they get into water. So what I did is I found just some tips of the vine. I tried to find something that was a little bit thicker, a little bit sturdier. Some of these vines are woodier than others. And all you do is you get scissors or you get pruners, you take off, just break off a piece, strip the lower leaves, put that in water, and honestly, within 24 hours, you will see roots starting to form on this slip here. And once they have enough roots, you can just come, dig a hole, pop them right in the ground. It's that easy.
Melons are the king of summer crops, and we have multiple varieties here, and we're trying to do some smaller varieties because they take
Cayman
up a lot of
size.
space. Yeah, Cayman size. I just knew something was going to happen like that.
You make it too easy, man.
But we have multiple varieties because in the past I've just done your standard large varieties, but they take up so much of your garden space, and most of you like us don't have just infinite space or don't want to devote that much space. So we're trying some small varieties. I've never done it before. Josh, what are we doing?
Well, this is my first time too. So we picked out 3 bush varieties. We have Bush Jubilee, Bush Sugar Baby, and then Cow Sweet Bush, which is an interesting name. And we're kind of trialing all 3 just to see how they do. So we're finding something interesting. If you see how well these are doing, and then you look at the end where those are the same age, but obviously they're not doing as well. Now this space had been amended and used in years past for gardens, and we're thinking that this area had more amendment than that area, and that's why those are lagging behind. But hopefully we can get those caught up with some fertilizer of our own.
So let's talk about the last two things that we currently have going. And this one right here is green beans. This is a provider variety. It's a bush bean. I really prefer bush beans because over time with the vining ones, they take up a lot more space. There's a lot more setup. I don't have to have a trellis or anything like that. But also there's a lot of bug pressure with beans in my opinion. I've seen Japanese beetles on here. Josh has been spraying them with some organic stuff to help really keep that down.
It's working pretty good so far.
It's working pretty good, but we've seen some Mexican bean beetles, cucumber beetles, Japanese beetles, and the longer these things go, I think the more you run into issues. And so I'd rather plant successions of bush beans than have one long row of pole beans. Look at these green beans that we have going on right here though. And there's just all kinds of little ones. And of course, there's some at bigger stages. This one's not too far away from being harvested.
You could eat that guy right now.
Yeah, you could. It would be just super tender. There's really no rule on when you pick these things. Of course, the smaller they are, the more tender they're going to be. And at some point, they kind of get to a little bit more fibrous and the beans are more filled out. But some people really like it that way. So there's a lot of opinions on how to do the beans. Again, this is Provider. We gave them some calcium sulfate, gypsum initially, and they've also received some 862 organic fertilizer, which is mostly ammonium sulfate. It did have some of the Dr. Earth stuff in there with the kelp and stuff. These beans really do benefit from a good bit of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, trace minerals, all the stuffs, and some organic sprays, and of course some irrigation. But they're just now getting close to starting to fruit. And I guess, you know, beans are the musical fruit. I forgot about that. This one's not as musical as the others.
You eat them green, it's not quite the same.
That's right. So there's going to be a lot of picking involved. You really got to get down into here and get these fruits that are, or beans that are all the way down here at the base. And I've been seeing bumblebees pollinating these. And so it's going to be rapid, it's going to be quick. And there's several ways that you can put these up. You can freeze them, you can can them. Heck, I've even seen people freeze dry them these days, which, yeah, that's a totally new area I'm not used to. And behind this, at the same time we planted some corn, we just had really poor germination rates with that. So we just mowed that down. We're fixing to prep this bed again, and we're gonna try another round of sweet corn. And that was just, sometimes it's just how it goes. You get some bad seed, maybe you have some old seed. This wasn't old, but sometimes things just don't work out, or the conditions of the weather isn't ideal for that specific variety. But these beans, Josh, you've done a really good job with them, and we're gonna have green beans out of our ears. And once we harvest them and they kind of start diminishing after a bit, my personal recommendation is you just cut them. You can either throw them in the compost or burn them if you feel like there's a lot of bugs in there. You know, sometimes there's a lot of eggs from some of the pests, the beetles and stuff. And you just like to go ahead and burn that and eliminate all those. And now you plant a fully fresh crop in succession, plant your green beans. But kind of the way that I am, you know, just plant a bunch, put them up for the year, and move on to some other type of crop.
Oh, we got plenty we can put in here. I got lots in the pipeline.
So what, you know, we've talked about pretty much everything that we're growing currently, but you got a couple other trials and things coming up, Josh. What do you have in mind for not only this summer, but later in the year?
Yeah, so we have the lettuce trial going, which we haven't quite planted those. Those starts aren't quite ready yet, but they'll be going soon. And this fall, I'm hoping to do a lot of the different fall vegetables and kind of try different varieties and see what works best for us here in Tennessee. So that's exciting. You just never know what's going to happen. There's infinite amounts of varieties that you can choose from, but when we select varieties, we try to find stuff that will actually do well in our area and give it a chance, because not every one that is labeled for our area is going to do the best.
Sure. So, and there's hundreds of varieties of many of these things, like tomatoes, and we have found that even though they come well recommended for flavor, they just don't perform well.
No.
And so that's what we're learning with you guys. We'd love to hear your suggestions on what you prefer in your region, your zone, what's really your favorite tomato or bean or Cayman. I hate bush beans. I prefer pole beans. I like to hear that too. We're learning with you guys. Thanks for following us. We're going to have several more videos, and if there's any suggestions that you have for trying varieties or anything that you've seen here you have questions about, let us know, and I'll make sure Josh answers.
We'd love to hear it. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Oh! Oh, okay, reset.